Coach Burk, hey, thanks for joining me today on this Simple Coach to Coach interview. It has been a long while. I have you up on a picture of you up where I see you, where you being the first coach I ever interviewed, fresh off of the national championship. So I am super stoked that you agreed to join me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got a long off season ahead of me, so
yeah, you're looking for things to entertain yourself. I can have you on weekly if you like. I mean, that's cool. We could just talk with Breeze. That'd be great. Yeah. Hey, so look, I'll just throw it out there like I always do without commenting. From your perspective, how do you think 2023 season went for you and your men, obviously?
Yeah. I think the first thing, it was a great bounce back because we were all disappointed about 2022. And so I think probably the number one feeling amongst the guys, it was good to reprove to ourselves that we're capable of being a really strong team. So the bounce back was gratifying. Just like 95% of teams out there, it's mixed emotions at the end of the season. When you go far, you hate to come up short. But yeah, overall, I think if you asked most of the guys, they would say it was a successful season, given the difficulties of 2022.
Yeah. What was it about 2022, if I may ask? Was it sort of the hangover of the national championship, you think? Or because it was you can see a drop off. I don't mean a drop off. That's not the right word for you guys, but right where you could see a little bit of a slump because, you're high on the hog, right? Like I get that, but what was it about 2022 that?
Yeah. Well, I think first off, the first thing that you need to recognize is within the NESCAC, every game is very fine margins. Like we lost 2022, we lost 5 conference games, and each game was by 1 goal.
Yeah.
So, I think also the combination of teams really upped and hyped for their chance to beat the national champion.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the best version of every team. Even like the teams that go to the Final Four this year, they'll experience the same thing next year. It's like it's a huge opportunity for the opponent playing against them. And then yeah, I think because we had never been in that position before, I think we put extra pressure on ourselves. Like we were probably more outcome focused than process focused. The things, we all had a destination of where we wanted to get to, which was obviously defending or getting back to the national championship. But we should have put more focus on, the things that we could control to help us get there. Instead of constantly looking at the vision, yeah, I'd say it's a combination of those things. Like there's, I think not to take anything away from other teams. I think like it's very difficult to repeat in the NESCAC because the games that you play in conference are basically NCAA games. Yeah. So on any Saturday, you could drop points, and that really makes your road back to the NCAA championship difficult. But yeah, external pressure, internal pressure. It's like for us, it was, leading up to the national championship, it was always easier kind of playing in uncharted territory. And then once you taste success, you know, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. There is something to be said, right, about being the underdog, being, flying under the radar. Who is this team? Not, But once you have the star on your jersey, right? People know. Well, you gotta watch out, or that could make somebody's season to play you as a defending national champion and beating you, right? Like, I think that's very real. That is very, very real. So I gotta ask, what did you do to reset after that, or was it the guys? Was there anything that you did differently into 2023 to lead to the success you had this year?
Yeah, good question. Probably, to be fair, not a whole lot. It's just I think regrouping and coming together, working hard in the off season. I think to my point, I think we all recognized, starting with myself as the head coach, like we were probably too outcome focused in 2022. So in the off season, we really focused on, if we wanted our results to improve, there's only certain things that you control, but one thing that you can control is kind of work ethic, team culture, the chemistry within your team. And so, I think we regrouped in the off season, kind of defined what we wanted the team to look like in 2023, kind of our core values. And I mean, we made minor adjustments tactically. We let up too many this year as well, 2023, but 2022 we let up too many goals. So tactically, we wanted to improve defensively. I think as a staff we kept our head down and tried to keep the recruiting strong to bring in guys that we would replace. But I'd say the biggest thing is in the off season, we regrouped and said we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We just got to keep improving, and regardless of how results go in 2023, what type of team do we want to be? And I think it helped creating the narrative that this can be a comeback season, and let's play with a point to prove to ourselves that last year was just a one-off down year.
Can I ask, did you get a sense at any point during the season where you thought, oh, this year's different, it's back on track, who we want to be?
I'm such a worrywart that it's a good question for sure. I think a really good moment, I don't know if it was quote unquote defining, or like if it reassured me that like we could make a long run postseason. Like I wouldn't go that far, but I would say a really positive moment in the season that really galvanized the team and brought the team even closer together was our game against Trinity. We were losing 1-0 for a long time. Trinity was playing really well. They're defensively really frustrating us, and then this was at Trinity, and we were able to, I think with 15 minutes left, maybe even less, get 2 goals and get an important road win, 2-1. And so, like, I think you can imagine the frustration or disbelief, having dropped points to Trinity, a team that is still rebuilding and getting stronger. But yeah, that road win. What else? The game again. We came back to beat Amherst at home. That gave the guys more belief. But I would say probably like most teams, you slowly, getting belief is an accumulation of affirmations. So just continually chipping away in each game, like going to Hamilton, upstate New York, getting a road win there. That was big for the guys. So different moments.
Yeah.
But the Trinity one,
like you said, it's you mentioned it's a process, right? So I would think it's every day is where you're noticing things, right? Like there's not one, because if you're focused on one event, that's the same thing you did last time, and that's not necessarily the way you're trying to think. Was the NESCAC as challenging for you this year as in other years?
Yeah,
I mean, because there were, the top half was, brutal, but
the biggest compliment that I can give, I'm sure other NESCAC coaches have said this in years past, but I felt like some of the NESCAC teams that didn't make the NCAA tournament, just thinking in particular, Bowdoin.
Yeah,
I think Bowdoin was 9-3-3. Like that's a crazy record to like them, Hamilton, Wesleyan. Like those three teams could all be Sweet 16, Elite 8 teams, and they didn't make the tournament. Like the NESCAC is crazy. The parity is really, really strong. So
obviously you're hopefully taking some time to like chill out for a little bit and enjoy the holidays, despite being a worrywart. Just looking back on 2023, what are the things now? You mentioned, previously we had to shore up defensively. What are some of those things that you have in the back of your mind thinking, you know what, I think this is where we have to improve.
Yeah. I still got to make my end of the year PowerPoint or analysis to present to the team. So if you asked me that question in another week or so, I could probably give you a better answer. But just in general, I mean, in the NCAA games, each game we let up a set piece goal. Like in the postseason, conference play and in NCAA play, the margins are really fine. Games are decided by literally a couple plays. So I think it's our handling ourselves. Franklin Marshall was knocking at the door for a while, and we were able to hold them off. But I think, just when our back is against the wall, continuing to be a team that improves on bending but not breaking. Because we had to that point, two things I'd say without diving in deeply is disappointingly we let up a set piece goal in each NCAA game, and we had a lead in each NCAA game, and each time the team came back. So I think bending but not breaking and improving our defensive resiliency, I guess, and set pieces. But every year is a new team. So I think a big thing that you're always trying to gauge as a coach is, is to some point in the off season gauging based on player development and the younger guys coming through, like what are going to be our strengths, what are going to be our weaknesses. You really start to gauge that in preseason.
It's interesting you say that, because it's the one thing I noticed when you played Montclair in the NCAAs, where I was like, you're up 2, and worst score to be, to be ahead at. I get it. But then I thought, I don't know what happened. It just seemed like all of a sudden Montclair was, and you guys didn't know how to necessarily manage the game properly. And they came, and I'm not taking away from Montclair, right? Like I'm not taking away from them, but I just thought you could have done a better job managing that one.
It never helps when the opposition has the country's best forward as well.
Yeah. I totally get it. Believe me, I totally understand it. I just it was the thing that struck out at me because I thought, oh, you never. I think what was different, and I hate to use it as a reference, right? Like when you won the national championship, like you could have, your team was better at managing that situation.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
more maturity. I don't know how to explain it, but
I think like the funny thing is everyone always says the most dangerous lead is a 2-goal lead, and like a lot of times people will disagree and be like, "What are you talking about? I'd love to have a 2-goal lead."
Yeah.
But yeah, that game was a good example. Like psychologically, like you just might start passing forward less, or you might start pressing the ball slightly less hard. If the other team gets a series of corner kicks or free kicks, like you might start playing out of your half and possessing the ball a little bit less and sending it long, and then the ball comes back in. So, it's tough because psychologically, but also the other team starts to ramp it up. And if you're down 2-0 and if you lose, your season's over, why wouldn't you just go for it and just start throwing on the pressure? 2-goal leads are definitely tricky in the NCAA tournament, I would say.
And then between the pressure that you're receiving from the other team and then that maybe that half a second delay because you think you're ahead, you end up sitting back deeper and deeper, and it gets them closer to goal. I think that was a bit of the case too. Tell me about the Washington College game. What are your thoughts on that game? How do you think you did? How do you think you played it? Washington College, interestingly enough, is, I've said it before, and they shouldn't have been, but under the radar for me. Wasn't really paying attention to them. I watched a couple of games, but I said they went. I think it was 0-1-5 in their first 6 games, or something like that, or 1-0-5, and I was like, yeah, they're done. It's not. They're not going to. And lo and behold, but I'd be interested to get your sense as to what you thought the game was like.
Yeah. Well, first off, they were one of the most organized and genuinely one of the best teams we played all year. It seems like every player that stepped on the field for them knew their role and knew how to play with the other players around them. I thought we, again, hopefully one day it changes, but D3, it's still double headers in the NCAA tournament. I thought, and again, not to be an excuse, I probably could have managed the team better, but we came out flat. We didn't come out with the typical energy that we bring to start games. I thought they got more control of the game first 15, 20 minutes. Again, going back, our Achilles heel, defending set pieces, we let up a corner. Kind of a game of two halves. Like, I thought they were very organized, defensively pragmatic in the second half. They still had their chances when they went forward, but the second half, I thought in the first half they started better. They controlled the ball. They took the game to us a little bit more. In the second half, when they had the lead, we probably had more of the ball going forward, but credit to them. They were able to stifle us when they needed to. And so in that sense, a game of a little bit two halves, but yeah, I think that to be fair, they edged us and they deserve going to the Final Four. It's tough because every team, you like to believe in your own ability. I think maybe on a different day could have potentially edged them. I remember listening to one of your other episodes a year or so ago. I think it was with Washington Lee, Mike Singleton, and he made the comment, like, when you get to the Sweet 16, everyone has the capability or ability of winning it. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I thought in the second half we created more chances, but they were able to stifle us. Mm-hmm. So.
They are. I remember when they played. Was it 2 years ago? They played Montclair ball, and beat them 2-0. And I was struck at how they defensively. You could see that that's a focus for them, for Coach Dunshee.
I thought there was similarities between their Sweet 16 game, Washington. Yeah. I mean, Washington and us, where they're a lot of teams, and this is totally intended to be a compliment. A lot of teams aren't comfortable if they don't have the ball.
Yeah.
But Washington College, because they're very organized, very good defensively, like it's okay if the other team has the ball, though. Like it's not. So
they are agreed, because against Montclair they were, I say it, they just opportunistic as to when they can get forward. They would get forward.
Very good in transition.
Yeah, they would get forward, and when they couldn't, you can have the ball all day long. You're not gonna, especially in that center of the, that 18.
The other interesting area. Thing is this year. So I feel like almost double digit amount of games we played teams that played a 4-4-2 diamond.
Mm-hmm.
That is whether it's solely just Northeast Division III soccer, or maybe if it's more common across college soccer. But yeah, this year in particular, we played a lot of teams that played a 4-4-2 diamond, which tactically as a coach, you have to figure out what's best for your team in terms of solving it, and because there's different ways. It's not easy playing against a team that has 4 midfielders.
Yeah. That's why I'm a big fan of the 3-5-2, is just because so many teams don't realize that the midfield, if you just get the bodies in there, you're ahead of the game, right? This is the way other teams play. But what would you say was your best game? Like, if you could capture that one, that's the...
Good question. Interestingly, maybe against Coast Guard. I thought it was a really well-rounded performance, and I was a little bit nervous because emotionally, probably both school. I mean, we're literally right next to you. I could walk 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Campus, so there's a rivalry element to it. So I was worried that both teams might get overly emotional, but to my surprise, we were able to play our game. We're able to control the ball, find solutions, and a lot of times at the D3 level, it's very hard for a variety of reasons. It's very hard to play the way you want for a whole 90 minutes. To answer your question, that was probably the best game all year, that as close as possible for 90 minutes we played our game model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting because Coast Guard always strikes me as they're going to come at you physically and
they have a vibe of a NESCAC team.
Yeah. Like, they just, hey, we're gonna run and we're gonna compete and we're gonna tighten up the space and we're gonna make it super difficult for you. At least that's my impression. And the last one, just the last couple of questions, just around. Could you talk about the Amherst game, the semifinals, where you lost 2-1?
I thought the 2 games that we lost this season, and again, going back to your question, how can we improve for next year? Mm-hmm. I thought the 2 games that we lost this year, Amherst semifinals, Washington College NCAA tournament, were the 2 most notably the 2 games all season that we started sluggish or you can't against the caliber of Amherst.
Yeah,
you can't let up goals early on. So I think they were revved up for the game, and capitalized early on. I thought we did well to scratch one back pretty quickly. I think we scored once they went up 2-0. I think we scored like 5 or 10 minutes later. But yeah, I think again, similar to Washington College, like we were knocking on the door, we were creating chances, but it's tough. It can be tough chasing a game, tough to put my finger on why we couldn't score. But yeah, credit to them. I think they started better, and defensively they were probably better than us.
Yeah. I got to ask you, for your recruiting for next year, are you looking? I've asked you this before. Are you looking to fill spots? Or are you looking for? I just want guys who are going to make the team better. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Probably not a good answer, but combination.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the last year, right? This is the last year where kids can.
Yeah.
So we'll have four boys that will come back for next fall. But yeah, right now we have 4 goalies. I'm not going to pull an Arteta and recruit a goalkeeper that Ramsdale is the Prem's best goalkeeper, and Arteta still recruited over him and brought someone in. I don't think that will do that. But you're always to that point, you're always trying to strengthen areas that are already strong. So if it's a really good player, we're obviously not going to just completely dismiss them. But I'd say particular spots, like for me, I always keep my eye out, and it'll be a big area to fill as a left-footed center back to help balance the field. And then I feel like we will be wanting to bring in a creative midfielder as well. So I'd say those are probably the 2 biggest needs, but yeah, certain positions like goalkeeper, and I think we already have 4 right backs, so we're probably not looking for a right back. But yeah.
All right, Coach. I really do appreciate you taking the time today. This was awesome. I'm glad we were able to connect. And I'm glad to see you just sort of back on track. So I really enjoy the way you guys play. So a little bit biased there, but
appreciate you having me.
Anytime. Like I said, if you have a slow spring seat, we could have you as a regular guest. I can come up with topics to talk about all day long. So, hopefully we can connect one of these days at a tournament somewhere. And but otherwise, let me know if you need anything.
Awesome.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.